Today we are answering a very common question, which is what are good dietary sources of vitamin D? Okay, so let's dive into this and examine this question a little bit. Typically, animal products are going to be some of the best sources of dietary vitamin D. So for example, eggs are often thought of as a good source of vitamin D, and then different types of fatty fish. So things like sardines, salmon, rainbow trout, tuna, okay? And then believe it or not, this one is kind of surprising, is there are some mushrooms that can actually be an excellent source of vitamin D. Now, the problem is that as we dive into this question of good dietary sources of vitamin D, we actually discover that there aren't really any sources that are great, okay? So let me explain why. As someone who is passionate about vitamin D, and I'm a total vitamin D nerd, and I actually make sure that my blood level stays in the optimal range of 40 to 60, in order for me to do that, I make sure that I intake between 5,000 to 10,000 IUs of vitamin D per day, okay? So this one little vitamin D capsule, this is a vitamin D3/K2 capsule, it contains 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. Now, an egg is thought of as a great source of vitamin D, but it actually only has 64 IUs of vitamin D. And the reality is that it depends on the quality of the egg. It's entirely possible that if you're eating a low quality egg and that chicken has not had a lifestyle that had it produce vitamin D, it's entirely possible that the eggs you eat have little to no vitamin D in them. At best, a really healthy, high quality egg might have 64 IU of vitamin D in it. Now, in order to get the same amount of vitamin D as this capsule, you would need to eat 78 eggs. Okay, that's a lot of eggs. I don't know anybody who eats 78 eggs in one day. Okay, so yes, an egg is a dietary source of vitamin D, but it's not enough. Okay, what about some of those fatty fish? So this is a packet of wild-caught tuna. Okay, some of the highest quality tuna you could buy. And this entire packet only has 48 IUs of vitamin D. So in order to get the same amount of vitamin D as this capsule right here, you would have to eat 104 of these packets of tuna. Okay, so this just brings to mind that, yeah, there are dietary sources of vitamin D, but it's really hard to get enough vitamin D from just dietary sources. Now, I believe that we should strive to get all of our nutrients from a healthy, whole food, balanced diet. With vitamin D in particular, we should strive, and in an ideal world, we would get all of the vitamin D we need from both healthy sun exposure and food sources. And so personally, I rely on healthy sun exposure, dietary sources, and also a supplement to make sure that my vitamin D level stays in that range. Now, I also wanted to mention mushrooms. Mushrooms, fascinating, they have the ability when they're exposed to sunlight to actually produce vitamin D, similar to the way that when humans are exposed to healthy sunlight, we produce vitamin D. Now the problem is most mushrooms that you buy at the grocery store are grown in the dark or not in sunlight, and so there's a good chance that any mushroom you eat will have little to no vitamin D in it. And unless you know how to forage for mushrooms and you find some that are in the direct sunlight, likely any mushroom you ever eat is going to have little to no vitamin D in it. So in summary, we should strive to get all of our vitamin D from healthy sun exposure and from healthy foods. The reality is, though, it is so important to maintain that optimal range of 40 to 60 that you really need to be willing to just do whatever it takes to maintain that range. And so for me, it's healthy sun exposure, it's healthy food sources of vitamin D, and a supplement to keep it in that range. So another thing is that you just don't know if you're getting enough unless you get tested. So I would recommend that you either go to a lab and get a vitamin D test, ask your doctor for one at your yearly physical, or order a home vitamin D test from us, and you can test your vitamin D in the convenience of your home without scheduling an appointment for a very affordable fee. All right, I hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you guys next time.